Orleans Saints are taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home for NFL Week 4, and for today's show, we're going to be breaking down that matchup, getting into some X factors, what you need to know, and a whole lot more. But before we get to that, I encourage you Saints fans to subscribe today so you don't miss out on our awesome watch party. We're going to be live 30 minutes before kickoff, so I encourage you to turn on your notifications, join our watch party, and don't miss out on the fun. So let's go ahead and take a look at the matchup, and we're going to be previewing a little bit of this today. So the Week 4 matchup, it's going to be fun. The Saints are 3-point favorites. The over-under set at 39.0, and kickoff is going to be at noon. So like I said, 30 minutes before, live at 11:30. Dome, sweet dome. It's not just a homecoming for the Saints. It's a homecoming for Alvin Kamara. And boy, I'm excited. So let's get to know the Week 4 opponent. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 2-1 after that loss in Monday Night Football last night to the Philadelphia Eagles. So as for the head coach, it's Todd Bowles, and the offensive scheme, it's a little bit like a West Coast style, similar to like a Dolphins, Rams, 49ers, Packers, that kind of thing. Lots of outside zone runs, lots of flood concepts, deep crossers in the pass game, and it's going to be, kind of thrown all over the field. And then as for the defense, they're going to be an attacking 3-4, so a lot of zone blitzes, and they're going to try and confuse Jameis Winston as much as possible, assuming Derek Carr isn't playing. So before we get into more content, into more, discussion about this game, let me know, Saints fans, who you got. Type S for Saints, type B for Bucks. I want you to let me know in the comment section. YouTube's going to throw you an ad right here, so take advantage of that break. Scroll on down, share your thoughts, and let me know. All right, so let's go through some strengths of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I think that the defensive coaching is pretty strong. I mean, Todd Bowles is one of the stronger defensive minds. He's one of the better defensive coaches out there. And the defensive talent is a result of that. They have a lot of good players on that defensive unit. And I want to point out 8 impact players that, the Saints need to account for. Vita Vea, Shaq Barrett, Antoine Winfield Jr., Levante David, Devin White, Jamel Dean, Carlton Davis, and Christian Eisen. They are going to be guys on the defensive side of the ball that are going to cause problems for the Saints. But on terms of the offensive side of the ball, they also have a legitimate wide receiver duo in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And the stats for them this year so far, it's not anything that's going to jump out at you in terms of Chris Godwin, but Mike Evans is off to a red hot start, once again. 17 receptions, just under 300 yards, 17.5 yards per catch, 3 times in the end zone, and a long of 70 yards, whereas Chris Godwin, 13 receptions, 141 yards, 10.8 yards per catch. He hasn't found himself in the end zone quite yet, but he is a guy who the Bucs are going to target, and he has a long of 24 yards as well. And I also want to point out a strength of the Buccaneers. They have a great left tackle in Tristan Wirfs. And the PFF grade, overall, it's an 80.6. So Carl Granderson, you better come ready to go. You better come ready to wreak some havoc, because the pass block grade is an 83.3 as well, and the run block grade is a 77.0. So I want to see Carl Granderson absolutely feast, and whoever gets in on the defensive rotation, you got to be ready to absolutely dominate in the trenches. But let's get to the weaknesses, because the Bucs, not a great team, but they have won 2 games. And in terms of the weaknesses, the offensive line interior has been a big problem for Tampa Bay. So look at the offensive line and their PFF grades, especially in the interior. Sure, Tristan Wirfs, Luke Godecki, they're probably having pretty good seasons. They are having good seasons, Matt Filer, Robert Hainsey, and Cody Mauch, they are not starting hot, especially Cody Mauch. Go take advantage of that rookie. Go take advantage of the lack of quality talent in the interior offensive line. And guys, I need Colin Saunders, Nathan Shepard, Brian Brzee, Malcolm Roach to absolutely feast. And then another big weakness is the lack of run game. And in terms of the Bucs depth chart, it's really not that quality. I mean, Rachaad White, sure, he's a good player, but Sean Tucker, a rookie out of Syracuse, I don't really think that they're going to have a ton of success on the ground game, especially because the Saints defensive line and the Saints linebacking unit is so stellar. And coming up next, I do have a scouting report on Baker Mayfield, some X factors for New Orleans against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But before we get into that, let me tell you about our awesome sponsor, Prize Picks. Thank you so much, Prize Picks, for making today's show possible, and I cannot wait to tell you all about them. So Prize Picks is a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. Now, how does it work? You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they will go more or less than their Prize Picks projection. You can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. And it adds a lot of excitement to the sports viewing experience, watching your progress update in real time, cash out your winnings, and with quick scoring, settling, and withdrawals. And Prize Picks offers projections for any sport that you watch, including NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, PGA, college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball, soccer, WNBA, esports. My point is, if you watch it, they got it. And here are the projections that I'm rolling with this week. I'm taking more receiving yards for Michael Thomas at 52.5. I'm taking less passing yards for Desmond Ridder at 193.5. And I'm taking more Russell Wilson, 235.5 yards. I just think that Sean Payton is not going to let the Broncos get embarrassed that badly 2 weeks in a row. But guys, a little bit more about Prize Picks. It's really, really fun. I absolutely love them, and they have helped out my viewing experience. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, so now I want to talk about scouting Baker Mayfield because he's had 2 good games against bad defenses, and so I don't want to really buy into the hype of, oh, Baker Mayfield's great. You saw what happened against the Eagles defense last night, 15 for 25, 146 yards, a touchdown and an interception. But against a really bad Vikings unit, 21 of 34, sorry, producer Seeps, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. That's pretty impressive for against a bad defense. But in week 2, against a really, really bad defense in the Bears, 36 of 34, 317 yards, a touchdown, and no interceptions. But my point is, I have faith in this defense. They're not a Bears unit. They are a very, very talented group. And I really do believe that Baker Mayfield is a gamer. So you're going to have to throw him off of his game. You have to apply pressure, force turnovers, and give him hell throughout the entire game. And I'm not just saying in the first half. I'm not just saying in the first 3 quarters. All 4 quarters, you have to attack Baker Mayfield. And when he's throwing the ball, the flight crew needs to show up. Marshawn Lattimore, he has started off this season red hot. He has been stellar. Paulson Adebo missed last week with a hamstring issue, so we'll see if he plays again. Otherwise, will be Isaac Yiadom lining up on the outside, and Alontae Taylor has blown away expectations in the slot. I cannot wait for him to get another interception, get an interception because, man, he has been so close. So next on today's show, we're going to talk about the Saints X Factors. And that's just the last little things I want to talk about going into week 3. But before we get into that, if you want the Saints to win, don't jinx it. Like the dang video right now. We all believe in voodoo. We all believe in good juju, bad juju. So don't bring some bad juju to this team. So let's get into the X Factors, Saints fans. Alvin Kamara, he is so back. His suspension is officially over. He will be playing this week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It could not come at a more opportune time for this Saints offense, who will likely be without Derek Carr. But another X factor, the opposite side of the ball, the defensive line. That front 4, those boys in the trenches, you got to feast. And like I said earlier, that offensive interior for the Buccaneers is very, very bad. So I'm looking at the 4 guys in the middle, Colin Saunders, Brian Brazine, Nathan Shepard, Malcolm Roach, to absolutely dominate. I would not hate to see Carl Granderson also have a massively big game. He got paid recently. He continues to put up good production, 9 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble on the year. But Brian Brazee, hey, I want to see old boy eat. This guy has been stellar, and he hasn't even been a massive part of the Saints defensive line. Of course, he's been used in the rotation, but I want to see him take advantage of every snap he's given. The stats, they're right there on the screen. You can read them yourself. They have been great. I want to see Bryan Bresee continue to develop and continue to be a dog. And we're speaking of dogs, Alontae Taylor. Dude, when I tell you about Alontae Taylor, I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit worried with the Saints making the decision to cut Bradley Roby and move on from him. But Alontae Taylor has gone absolutely off. Uno has been incredible. 14 tackles, a tackle for a loss, a quarterback hit, a sack, 7 pass breakups. He has filled in immensely in that slot position, and I have been very impressed. So go off, Tay. Continue to dominate and bring the heat. Rashid Shaheed, we need the speedster. Talking about heat, let's get those feet burning, baby, because the need for Shaheed continues to be absolutely electric. 9 receptions on the season so far, 152 yards, just under 17 yards per catch and a touchdown. Incredible. And that's not even, his impact goes beyond the offensive side of the ball. The punt return that we saw against the Packers, I know we hate talking about this game. I hate that this game even happened, but this play was absolutely awesome. And fun fact, you can see it down below. He reached a max speed of 21.42 miles per hour on that 76-yard punt return. The dude's fast. Be fast. Give Rashid Shaheed the ball. He is a big X factor. And my biggest one of all, I have to say, you had to know it was coming. Marshawn Lattimore. We're going to get to see another awesome matchup between Mike Evans, Marshawn Lattimore. And honestly, this might be one of the last times we get to see it. If Mike Evans leaves after this season, he may not get to have the matchup with Marshawn Lattimore next season. But in terms of the stats against Laddie, Mike Evans has had 28 receptions on 54 targets, 490 yards, 3 touchdowns in just 49 yards per game. The dominance is clearly in Marshawn Lattimore's favor. So I'm going to just say this. Marshawn, eat your Wheaties. Come ready to play and come ready to absolutely dominate. End this discussion. I don't want to see Mike Evans have another 1,000-yard season. End this possibility. Marshawn Lattimore should win, but Mike Evans is a very talented wide receiver, and things can get weird. Early in the season, divisional game, things can get wacky, especially with the Saints coming off that weird loss against the Packers. The Bucs starting off weirdly hot, but they got dominated by the Eagles yesterday. Things can get just absolutely bonkers. So I need Marshawn Lattimore to absolutely dominate. Come ready to play, and hey, let's go beat Mike Evans once again. So guys, comment down below. Give me your score predictions for this Saints versus Buccaneers matchup. My score prediction is going to be right around the corner, so I need you to comment yours right now. And as for mine, boom, 27-17, New Orleans Saints on top. I think the Saints have a easy win here. I think they're going to have to definitely play a clean game, but they shouldn't have any problems. If they can play a complete 4 quarters, play smart, limit the penalties, play hard every snap, I think that the Saints should win this game, no problem. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.